Welcome. As you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children, or your partner, or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer, or doubter, as joiner or loner. You are welcome here. Feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest, you are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of the Helena Valley began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked here before us. We honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. We strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. Now, are there any announcements that people would like to give at this moment? Yes.
I'll only take a second of your guys' time. All right. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Asa. I'm the project manager for HEART, which is Helena Area Refugee Resettlement Team. Our director, Valerie, will be in Spain for the next 2 weeks, so she wrote this little card here for me to just share with you guys for a status update. So, she said, currently, this administration has canceled all refugee resettlement. Just this week, Afghans with temporary protective status, TPS holders, are being deported from the USA, as most of you know. These are folks who were granted permission to enter the USA for a set amount of time. Most came in under the designation of humanitarian parolees. Ukrainians are also here under TPS and face uncertainty. Our Afghan families are here under a different status, and all are on a path to a green card, permanent residency status, and citizenship. Most of our families are here as refugees, fully vetted, and given asylum in the USA. The 3 families that recently arrived entered under the SIV, which is a special immigration visa, because they worked with the US government. These SIV holders are given an alien resident number when they enter the USA at customs. This generates the green card to be sent by mail to them. All our families are legal. However, we are all concerned with what could happen based on what is happening in this country. Our sheriff and police are aware of all our refugee families and who we are at heart, and assured us they understand their legal status. They are not ICE. We have consulted with immigration lawyers and have prepared our families with red cards and information cards in case they are stopped, and we do have lawyers on call. That's all she wrote for me to say, but if you have any further questions about our NGO, she will be gone for the next 2 weeks, but please just come up to me afterwards, or just whenever you see me, I'll be here as well. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, now the chalice lighting. Pam will help me to light the chalice. Thank you so much. And we can say together, we gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Okay, now that you're all warmed up, your vocal cords are all warmed up, we can give it another go.
Doesn't it seem like we should rise to sing this?
Yes. Yes.
I'm rising. De colores se viste están los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de la afuera. De colores en el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y son los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y son los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Oh, the colors. Yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. Oh, the colors when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. Oh, the colors as a rainbow appears when the storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for colors under the sun. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. Oh, the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. Oh, the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of people who know that their freedom is won. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun.
Great. And now, thank you. And now we have a reading number 561, and it is by Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And now we have the Message for All Ages, the book Rainbow Weaver. And would you like to come up and look at the pictures? Will I read the story?
And Sarah, it won't project.
It won't project.
So I'm going to start working on your pictures. Take mine off.
Oh, gosh.
And so share the storybook.
Okay.
And everyone enjoy this cookie salad.
Okay. You know your word. I forgot how 50 days for this book. Okay, so I guess I just need to, can I just take this off here?
Yes.
Got it. Hi. Hello. All right, I'm going to sit down. Maybe next to you. Try to sit down gracefully here. Okay. I have a book, and I'm sorry you can't see the pictures because they're terrific, and okay, maybe I can hold the book up. Oh, here, I didn't have it up. I-
Are we good with holding it,
Uh-huh.
or would you like to stand?
No, this is good. So they can see, and then I can kind of show. All right, so you two can look at the pictures anyway. So this book is called A Rainbow Weaver, and that means a weaver of the rainbow here in Spanish. And you can just see the book. And Marianne found this book for me in the library, and it's perfect for today. So you two can look. So there's this little girl, and she's dressed in the traditional Mayan clothing, and her mother is weaving on a backstrap loom, and I'll hold the pictures up if you can see. So high in the mountains above Lake Atitlan, which is in Guatemala, Ishel, the girl, watched her mother weave through fabric as beautiful as a rainbow. The fabric had blues as clear as the sky, reds as bright as the flowers, and yellow as golden as the corn. Kind of like what we just sang in that song, De Colores. Mama, Ishel asked, may I weave too? And her mother shook her head. Not now, Ishel, she answered. This cloth is for the market. If it brings a good price, it will help pay for your school and books. So look at that. You can see the little girl and her mother weaving on that backstrap loom. See how it goes around her back? Here, can you see if I hold it up, or shall I not bother? Hold it up. Okay. There, you can see her there. Okay, and I'll have an example in my talk as well of that. In and out, Ishel's mother and neighbors wove on backstrap looms. They wove as their mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers had done before them, as Mayan women had done for more than 2,000 years. That's a long time, huh? After a while, Ishel asked, Mama, may I weave now? Again, her mother shook her head. Count threads with me, and my love, and I'll show you how we make designs. Ishel and her mother counted together. 1, 2, 3, actually it says it in a Mayan language, but I can't pronounce that. With each additional color, the cloth grew longer and the design prettier. Ishel reached for some thread. Please, she asked. No, my love, answered her mother. You are still too young, and there is no extra thread. Okay, this picture shows the women, several women in the neighborhood. You see they all have those looms on their backs. You see them? And she's looking at all the colors of yarn. I'll hold this up. This is kind of a smaller picture, but it shows them, the women of the village, weaving. Oh my goodness. Isabel crossed her arms and studied the hard-packed dirt of the yard. I want to weave. I want to help pay for my books and school too, she thought, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she walked toward the milpa. The milpa is the cornfield, the field where the villagers planted corn, beans, and squash. Plastic bags littered the path. Day after day, more bags were tossed from windows of passing vehicles or discarded by people returning from market. No one could use all the bags, and there was nowhere to put them. Okay, I'm gonna hold this up. You can see the cornfield and all the bags, all the different colored plastic bags all along the road there. This is kind of what I saw when I was there. Okay. Pushing the bags aside, Ishel gathered branches and sticks. Some of the sticks were long and some were short. She carried the sticks and branches home, then tied them together. Look, she's making her own backstrap loom there. See, she has the wood and the string to make a loom, so she can do it herself. What are you doing? A neighbor asked. Making a loom, Ishel answered. Her mother smiled. But Ishel, she said, we don't have any extra thread. I know, Mama, she answered. I won't take any. What do you think she'll do? Any ideas? No? All right, let's see what she does. Okay, so I'm going to summarize this part. First of all, she gathered up some leaves and blades of grass and things, and she tried to weave something with them, and it just did not work out. The fabric was too small, far too scratchy, and far too dull for anyone to buy. So then she said, okay, I'm going to try something else. So she followed the sheep herders and found some little pieces of wool along the plants and tried to weave those together. To make her own yarn. And that didn't turn out because the fabric was thick and heavy and the colors were boring. Tiny pieces of grass and dirt were stuck in the fabric, so that wasn't too good. So she was really disappointed, right? Have you ever tried to do something and it didn't turn out quite right? How about you? Yep. So poor Ishel wanted to do some weaving. Tears rolled down Ishel's cheeks. There's no way my weaving will sell in the market, she thought. No way I can help. Wiping her tears, Ishel headed toward the milpa again. Remember, the milpa is the corn and bean field. Along the way, she kicked aside a plastic bag. Red, purple, orange, green, yellow, and blue bags were everywhere. They were in the fields, drooping from branches and clogging roads and ditches. There were so many bags, it was hard for her to walk. Look at all those bags all over the road. Kind of trashy looking, huh? So what she did, she was angry, she picked up a bag, she ripped it to shreds. Suddenly, she had an idea. Here, I'll show this. You can kind of see the bags along the road, just everywhere, plastic bags. But she had an idea. What do you think she'll do? Any idea? Oh, glue them together to make something. What do you think? Any other thoughts? Okay. Okay. Wow. The fabric was short. Oh wait, let me see. Missed a page. Ishel gathered bag after colorful bag. She took the bags home, washed them, and hung them to dry. Now what are you doing? Another neighbor asked. Ishel smiled. You'll see. By the next day, the bags were dry. Ishel cut each bag into long strips. She tied the strips together. Sitting at her loom, Ishel pushed the batten over and under, back and forth, weaving until she had used all the strips. Look at that. They're colorful bags, aren't they? Here, you can see her using the plastic bag strips to make a weaving. Okay, let's see how it looks, huh? Looks like a rainbow, doesn't it? The fabric was short, but it was clean and colorful. It had blues as clear as the sky, reds as blue as the flowers, and yellows as golden as the corn. The fabric looked like a beautiful rainbow, almost as pretty as the weavings of her mother, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers before her. Isn't that something? So she was pretty ingenious there. She figured out how to weave the plastic bags. Make a nice, colorful rainbow weaving. A short one, but still. Let's see. Wondering what else she could make with the plastic bags, Ishel walked back to the milpa. As she gathered more bags, the path looked cleaner and the countryside prettier. See? Picking up all those bags. Yeah, isn't that great? So here you can see she's walking back and gathering plastic bags, all colorful ones.
But they're dirty.
But they're dirty. She has to wash them first, right? When Ishel returned home, her mother and neighbors were waiting with colorful plastic bags. We saw what you were doing, said a neighbor. We wanted to help. And without the bags everywhere, now our village looks pretty again, said another neighbor. So here all of the neighbors have baskets full of plastic bags. They all wanted to help. And there's a little dog. See? Cute little dog. Let's see now. Okay. Ishel thanked them. Then she handed the weaving to her mother and said, "My first rainbow." Her mother hugged her close. "It's beautiful, my love," she said. "Thank you, Mama," Ishel said, "but do you think it will sell?" "Let's take it to the market and see," said her mother. So here she's showing her mother what she weaved, and then her mother's giving her a big hug. And look at the colorful clothing that they are wearing. I mean, their clothing is like a rainbow too, isn't it? I like this picture. At the market the next day, Ishel and her mother watched as people walked by the stalls. Finally, a woman stopped. She picked up Ishel's weaving and asked, "Did you make this?" When Ishel nodded, the woman smiled. Her weaving sold, and for a very good price. Ishel beamed with happiness. Now she could help pay for her books and school. And like her mother, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers before her, Ishel had woven a rainbow. And I want to show you this picture, this one picture of the woman in the market that reminds me of myself and some of my fellow visitors to Guatemala, all of us with our backpacks and looking at stuff, and the contrast with the people there. It was, yeah. And then there's an author's note. I'm just going to make a comment about that. This was Mayan Hands, an organization of weavers in Guatemala, and they actually do weave things with plastic bags and different things like book bags and, you know, just different purses, I think, out of plastic. So it's making a good use of that. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting up here with me. And you're just perfect with this. Thank you.
Technical difficulties. Sarah, do you care if I just keep going? Well, now's the time for the offering of the plate. Sarah's going to try and get Asa to get this to project, because Sarah brought pictures from Guatemala that we would really enjoy seeing. So. Okay. So you can read the offering.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the offering, thank you. Whoops. Thank you for your gifts this day and for all the gifts of action that make this community possible. If you are visiting, please remain our guest. Your presence is your gift to us. The passing of the plate will be, oh, sorry.
Thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember us who love you well. We know all the gifts you bring into the world each day. So thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day. And now we will wait to see if Murphy will relent. We've just finished Easter. I think relenting is a possibility. Number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Well, while we're waiting, I'd just like to report on that rally yesterday. How many of you were there? Excellent. And the woman Shelley that I've been in touch with is a woman who's been the MC there for the past couple of times. Are we there? Okay, good. Anyway, we're hoping that there will be another rally 2 weeks from yesterday, which is the 3rd of May. And I'd like to invite you to please come. And as one of the speakers said yesterday, if you bring one friend, there'll be twice as many people. If you bring 2 friends, there'll be. So please come, pay attention. I'll try to know whether it's going to be on May 3rd.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I was a teacher and I would have trouble with the, and it's just like sweating bullets, like, oh, is this gonna work? And my students are all sitting there, oh my gosh. Okay.
So we were just rally and talking to the mic. We're good.
Okay, I will do that. Well, that was not part of my talk. That was just an exclamation. Okay. Hi, welcome everyone again, and I'm Sarah Bewley, and I was asked by Becky Warren to give a talk, and she talked to me in January about it and asked me to do a talk in March. And I was thinking, what will I talk about? And then suddenly I received a phone call from Chuck Jennings. This is in Great Falls, and he's a member of Great Falls Rotary, and he told me about this project that they have. It's an international organization, and so he told me about this project to go to Guatemala and help with this organization called Buenos Vecinos, Good Neighbors, to install water filtration and purification in schools in a certain part of Guatemala. So I thought, wow, that's just right up my alley because, well, I was a Spanish teacher for many years and I took students on trips to different countries in Latin America, and I was in the Peace Corps way back in the 70s, and it just sounded like, oh my gosh, this would be such a great opportunity for some high school students to experience volunteerism, and I thought, well, that's what I could talk about. So then it got arranged that I could speak after my trip, and I returned with my group on we arrived home on March 31st, so it was just less than a month ago. Let's see. So anyway, I decided, yes, that would be a great thing to do. So as I was thinking about what to say, I did a little research on, some different you thoughts about helping people, and I looked in this book, which many of you have, the Unitarian Universalist Pocket Guide, and so I found some inspiration in there, And one of the people who wrote an article is named Reverend Elizabeth Nguyen, and she states, "We move mountains one stone at a time. As UUs, our journey is to transform the big and the small, to transform ourselves and to transform the world. Universalism means no one is outside of the circle of love and no one is disposable." And so I thought about this project being that we were helping some people, you know, it's maybe a drop in the bucket, but you know, those ripples can spread, and I thought this was just a perfect opportunity to practice my ideals as a UU and also to get to know all these people and share it with these young students. So the process was that I contacted two of my friends who are still Spanish teachers, Suzanne Sturgis at Great Falls High and Tammy Petzold at CM Russell High School, and they had the information and they asked some of their upper level Spanish class students if they would be interested, and so 3 were super interested and applied. And so Chuck and I, they sent us their resumes, and Chuck and I interviewed them, and they were all fabulously qualified, excellent students, and then also they spoke Spanish, which we thought would be really helpful to have in this. And they also had done quite a bit of volunteer work, so they were no stranger to that kind of idea. So let's see. So this project was in motion already before we went. So Buenos Vecinos, Good Neighbors, is the project, and it's down there in this one province. I guess it's a province in Guatemala called Acatenango. And Dave Renfro is the Rotary Club person who got it started along with some people in Guatemala. He's from Columbia Falls, so we met him. So to start off here, this is a photo up here of there's one of the parents on the right, and then myself, of course, and then the 3 students who went with me, and then another parent there on the other side, and that's at the Great Falls Airport when we're all excited and getting ready to go. Okay. Okay, so we arrived a day before some of the other group members, and so we had a chance to do a little touring. And this is in the Mayan Cultural Museum we visited near Antigua. Antigua's kind of it's an ancient, a very old city. It was the original capital of Central America, but also, so there's a lot of Mayan influence there. So we visited this place and we saw this woman using a backstrap loom. She was demonstrating. So just like in the story I read about the rainbow weavers, here is a real rainbow weaver at work demonstrating, and you can see some of the wonderful weavings hanging around the side there. Okay. And then I took pictures. We toured the museum, and there's examples of different Mayan clothing from different parts. So I don't know what you call them, like every different distinct group of Mayan people have their own, there's many different languages, and they have their own colors and style of weaving and dress, so that you can kind of tell if you see a woman, especially a woman, you could tell where she's from by the dress she wears. So just keep the next one. Here's some more. You could see they had beautiful animals in their weavings and so forth. And I thought these were particularly beautiful. They were hanging, they were like wall hanging kind of things, or maybe they would be table runners, but they were just gorgeous, all the beautiful colors. And then some of here's 2 of my students. They dressed all 3 of them up in some Mayan clothing, and that was really fun to see them wearing it. So you can kind of get an idea how they have the skirt, and then the top, and the sash, and then they have a head covering, and then they all are wearing something on their arm. I don't know how that fits in exactly, but that's how the woman who did the backstrap weaving also did the dressing of these gals. Okay. So then the next day, the other group arrived, and we spent a day touring in Antigua, and from there we traveled in a bus to where these filters are constructed, and that's in a town called San Andres Ixtapa. So by this time there's 4 adults, 4 chaperones, including myself. There's a woman from Big Sandy, who brought along 2 students, and then there are 2 mothers chaperoning a group from Whitefish, Kalispell, Columbia Falls area. So there were, in total, there were 15 of us, 4 adults and 11 high schoolers. And a couple of them spoke Spanish, the other high schoolers as well, and some had other interests, but they were all interested in volunteering. So here, in this place, you can see there's 2 pictures. So on the one on the left, it shows, if you can see, maybe you can't see, it shows the filter, the top where the water goes in, and then it filters down into those blue tanks, and those tanks are filled with gravel, and then heavy gravel, and then lighter gravel, and then sand and some silica. And this one, the picture on the right shows, as a model, just shows the different levels, and there's a specific amount of gravel and silica and so forth that has to go in, and the water goes through it all the way through, and then it comes back up out of a spout. I can't remember exactly the details on which way it flows, but it comes out clean. And so initially it filters all the impurities, but then after 45 days of being put together and the water going through it, it develops some kind of a cap that serves as purification. So, and it lasts a very long time, so it's not, the sand doesn't need to be changed all the time, and it's and I can't remember how long, but it's a very long time it lasts. And so this is what this group, Buenos Vecinos, Good Neighbors, has worked. They work with some communities and for their schools, and they meet with them to get buy-in, and then they have installed these water purification systems in several schools, quite a few, I think maybe 20-some schools. And so we helped facilitate installation in 2 schools, which I'll tell you about. Okay. Mm-hmm. There. Okay, so the very first school we went to was like a middle school. It was called Socorro Instituto something. Anyway, but it's like middle school. And we were so surprised when we arrived that morning. We went in a bus. It was quite a long ways from where we were staying. But we went there, and all the students were all dressed up. The girls were wearing these beautiful Mayan clothing. I was wondering, gosh, can't believe they wear all this to school every day, but it was just beautiful. And we met with the principal and the faculty, and we met some of the town council people. And so on the left, you can see they did a presentation of the colors, the Guatemalan flag and the local flag, and then they played the Guatemalan national anthem, and everyone sang, and there were parents in attendance, and all of us, and then all these students from the middle school, and middle school is what I would call them. That's the age they were. And also, so on the left, you can see the flags being presented, and on the right is the one of the members of the town council speaking and welcoming us, and we were just astounded. I don't think that the Buenos Amigos or Buenos Vecinos, Good Neighbor people, even realized the extent to which they were going to welcome us, but it was just very nice, so nice. Okay. And then also a lot of the children, the young people did, we won't try to play the music probably, but you can see they did a dance. They did several dances, which I videoed, but I'm only just giving you an example. They're wearing the traditional clothing, the boys there so this is a traditional Mayan dance, and they gave that for us. It was very, very nice. And then there was another one where they acted out kind of like the coming in and the planting of the corn and the chopping of the wood and the making of tortillas. And that was a very long one, but it was super nice. So you just the extent of work and time that they put in preparing for our visit was heartwarming, yes. Okay. Well, that gives you an idea, at least. So that day, then also, they presented, after that, I mean, it was just one thing after the other. Then I guess some of the mothers had helped make some traditional foods, and in 2 of the classrooms, we weren't expecting this either, but they had little samples, kind of like little appetizers of all different kinds of traditional Mayan food, one thing I learned about was a mole, or pozole, I should say. It was a sweet pozole made with plantains and then some other kind of like tamale type of things, but very different than Mexican tamales, and some other kind of food they had. So of course we had to try everything, and this was just like a snack, not lunch. It was a lot of food though. But there you can see on the left 2 of the girls in their beautiful clothing, and those are different, but they were all dressed so beautifully with those clothes. And then on the right, there's 2 other girls, and there I am in the middle, not with beautiful clothes on, but we were ready to work or do whatever, but, and that was inside one of the classrooms. Okay. So that, we went to lunch then afterwards, and in the meantime, the other some of the students left. I mean, the day ended, I believe. So then we, on the left you can see kids playing soccer. There's that soccer court right next to the school, just right there. And our students who we brought love to play soccer with some of the students. Where we were staying on the coffee plantation, there were some little kids they played with. And then here, they just loved playing soccer. That was one of the favorite things, according to some of the students. The ones especially from Whitefish, I think, played soccer regularly, and they just had such a great time interacting with the students there. And then when we came back in the afternoon, we got to work, and one of the projects was painting the wall around the school and helping to do this mural. As you can see, one of our students from Whitefish area on the left, or on the right, he's helping. He was quite good at helping with the mural, and the guy on the left, he was the one who kind of designed it, and he was in charge. But it was amazing. So it says agua tenango, like water, and what he's starting to paint is like the water that's clean water coming out and so forth. And then you'll see the finished one. But we also painted a lot that day. Kids were covered in paint, pretty much. They weren't very careful painters, but they really enjoyed doing it, and we did a lot of work cleaning the school. Okay, and then the next day we came back, and you can see these 2 students. What we did was we had an assembly kind of in one classroom, and this one kid is so cute. But anyway, they passed around a coconut first. Well, the 2 women who work with Good Neighbors helped organize this, and they passed around a coconut and played music, and when it stopped, the kids who had the coconut had to answer a question, mostly about hygiene or clean water or things like that, teeth brushing or whatever. And the idea was to instill in them, because we were putting in a water filter, but also how to maintain good hygiene. But this kid, so some of them, they got little prizes if they participated, and he was just so cute and really overacted, but we just enjoyed him. Okay. Okay. And then you can see that's pictures in the classroom. On the left, there's in the foreground is one of our students who went from Great Falls, and then on the other side, a woman who helped a lot. She volunteers a lot. She's actually from Washington, but she did a lot of interpreting as well. So they're demonstrating some hygiene, and then on the right, you can see all the kids and some of our people in the front row there, and all the kids were really good. And so there's this hand washing song that we taught them all that was kind of cute, and I learned I didn't wash my hands as completely as I should either, because we taught them how to do it. It was great. All right. So that was some team building activities that we did with them. And then here you can see the completed filter and dispenser. So between those 2 days, this was one that we put in that school, in that middle school, because there were like, I don't know, based on the number of students. And so you can see the water filter, and there's some of our people on the left, and the parents and the students. And on the right, it shows, that's one of the girls who went with me, and the little boy has, the young student there has a classroom dispenser. So each classroom got a dispenser so they could fill up from the water filter to put in there. So we put it in, and so after 45 days, they can use it now, but after 45 days, the water will also be purified, not just filtered, so for drinking. And here, there's the completed mural, You can see on the left how it turned out and the little tubes coming out. And those are two volcanoes which are very, Guatemala has a lot of volcanoes, and one of them is active, and but it shows that. And there's all this, some of our students and some of the middle school students there standing in front of the mural at its completion, and the white painted wall. There was a lot of painting to be done. So it was really satisfying and also gratifying to be able to interact with all those kids, and they really enjoyed being with our high school students as well. So, okay. And then we went to an elementary school. I'll kind of speed up here. We went to an elementary school where it was huge, lots of students, and there you can see on the left, standing up there is one of the good neighbors, people from Guatemala there, kind of directing them and talking to them about hygiene and hand washing and things. It was a little hard to corral some of those kids. And on the right, you can see some of the little kids there, and with one of our high school volunteers in the middle, and she was one who could speak Spanish too, so it was really fun for her to interact with them. And then here we are at the elementary school, and there's two filters because it was such a huge student body. So there's our students filling up the big barrels with the right amount of sand and silica and so forth. But they were being directed to be sure that they have it in the right proportion, and they were doing the work there to fill it up. But there was a young man with good neighbors who worked for the organization who helped make those and get them all set up, and then you can see it's hooked up to the water supply, and it goes in and then filters through, so in the end, okay? And then another project we did was go to this little kind of a village. There's a lot of coffee plantations there. Guatemala grows a lot of coffee, and in fact, where we were staying, a lot of the coffee beans were headed for Starbucks. But here, these people live on this little coffee plantation, and the parents are workers there. The kids didn't have a school, but they had to walk to that school. I think we visited. It was a little ways for them. But we brought a little cheer there and 2 piñatas, and look at this cute little boy. He didn't quite break it, but he had the best time. He was the first one. And there were 2 piñatas, and then there's also a clinic there that we took everything out and painted inside and out and refreshed that. That's the clinic before we painted, but there's some of those little kids, and I worked with some of them as well in Spanish, telling them about hand washing and asking them questions, and they were just darling. And so more work needs to be done in that village, definitely. We help pick up trash and things like that, okay? And here is a tippy tap that we installed. I think this was at the middle school, but I don't know that little girl there. Anyway, that's a demonstration on how they work. There's 4 stations. They have restrooms and all, but this is extra so that they can just come in from recess or whatever and wash their hands easily, and you just press up. Maybe some of you have seen these before. In Mexico, they have them in the restrooms. But you press up and then you wash your hands, and then there's soap around there. So that was one of the additional part of the project. Okay. And then also we did a presentation to some of the mothers there about hygiene as well. And so this is just a close-up of some of the kids and the mothers there. And I was happily able to interpret a lot. So some of the other mothers who were volunteers who came along, the chaperones, they told about how they took care of their kids and different things that they did for hygiene, and I interpreted for the mothers there. And then they asked them questions, and the moms won prizes for answering questions. They were pretty shy, but they did answer. And this is where we stayed. That house there was the original house on this coffee plantation, so it was set up for us to stay. There were several bedrooms with a lot of bunk beds, and so there was room for all 15 of us and the 2 women, so there were 17 of us staying there, but it worked. There were 2 bathrooms inside and 2 outside, so it was good. It was quite comfortable, yeah. But we had to walk a long ways. We had to walk down from there and then up this really steep road to get to where we had our meals and so forth. Oh, and I wanted to show this because I read that book to you about all the plastic bags, and at least they were in that book, there were only plastic bags. But as you can see, this is along our path that we had to walk from the road that we had to walk from where we were staying to where we ate. And that's just one example of so much garbage. And I just wanted to point out, they don't have, like we are lucky to have sanitation, you know, where the trash comes and picks things up for us and stuff. And they just don't have that. And there's so much trash, wrappers from chips and plastic bottles and you name it. And it just made me really kind of sick how bad that was. That's another area. I mean, we were working on clean water, but there's so many areas that could be addressed. And then lots of street dogs. There were so many street dogs, and I was like, oh, all the time. But anyway, this was kind of toward the end, and that pan y pasteles, that's bread and pastries, that store there. And I thought that was so cute, those two dogs lying on the steps, and then the close-up of them there on the right. But they were, all the dogs were, you know, they were well behaved. I mean, they didn't really want to be petted or anything, but they were not mean dogs at all. But there were just so many of them. Anyway. Okay. And then finally on the way home, we had a chance on the way to the airport on the very end. We went to, we stopped at these Mayan ruins, and this is called, let's see, I wrote it down, Shimshe. And they were very old, like 2,000 years old or maybe a little more. But we walked around the grounds as we headed back toward the airport at the end of our volunteer time. So we had a little bit of and our guides explained about that, and it was very good. And that might be it. Okay, thank you. All right. So anyway, it was a very worthwhile trip, and I just want to say one more thing here about the things that I looked up. So, like I said, the things that we talk about in Unitarian Universalism is that we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope, and we commit to equity and justice, and we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, and the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And I just felt that this experience, although this was a Rotary Club thing, but for me personally, it just felt like it was a good way to practice those statements, those beliefs. So, thank you so much. Okay, so I guess now we have time for any reflections, a few minutes.
Sarah, it's already 12:30.
Okay.
But you could go to coffee and all
Yes.
that.
You bet. Okay. All right. So then I guess we're going to extinguish the chalice. And I thank you, Pam, for helping with that. And let's read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.